Ms. Dahl, do the people have any amendments, corrections, or objections to make to the contents of the report?
I do not.
If I said Ms. Dahl, I meant Ms. Carey. I'm sorry, I didn't look up. Mr. Harrison, same question to the defense.
I have no challenges to the body of the document.
All right. Elocution of Mr. Harrison.
Well, here's a couple of things I'd like to say right off the bat. Jamie acknowledges that she has a problem, and she's done her best to avail herself of Catholic Human Services programming that's, for lack of a better word, that's available in the jail. She does have her tickets that she brought with her today.
I can see them from here.
Yeah.
I'll accept that. Thank you.
The reason I say it that way is I was a little surprised that she was that engaged in her recovery. I've known Jamie for a number of years. I know a couple of her really good friends, and I have a bit of insight into her personality because unfortunately, the first time I encountered Jamie, she had been the victim of a crime. And I got to know her from that side as well. And Jamie has an independent streak that she tends to take everything on herself. She tends to take on other people's problems. She tends to take on her own problems and not seek the help of other people in making some necessary changes to her life. In a way, both of us are kind of glad this happened the way it did. Because it came at a particularly vulnerable time in her existence. And she's had to deal with a couple more issues since this has occurred that I think we both kind of came to the conclusion that the old Jamie would have reacted much more differently and much more negatively. So I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty happy with at least the progress she's made. And I don't know the right terminology for it, so I'll just say as a blanket term, psychologically, I'm certainly not a mental health professional, but I can say that as sort of a blanket term. I can tell that she's adjusted her way of thinking and her view of the world accordingly. Unfortunately, that still leaves her in a fair amount of trouble here with a 5 to 23 guideline. Now, it presents a little bit of a dilemma because Jamie has also told both Mr. Potter and myself that she would prefer not to be on probation. I will give her the opportunity if she's changed her mind in that regard, but I wanted to present it this way. Or because obviously the only alternative to that would be probably a short prison sentence based on a 5 to 23 guideline in her track record. That being the case, I think she's walking into that with her eyes wide open. I think she is looking forward to having the interaction with the programming in the MDOC, and that's kind of what she's focused on right now. If that is the case, as much as it pains me to do so, I would encourage court to recognize her desires in that regard as well. I have seen a couple of Jamie's close friends come out of similar situations, and they are living lives which are exemplary now. And in fact, it makes Jamie a little bit jealous. And I think that's what she wants for herself. And she now has the necessary frame of mind and the coping skills and other things that are going to help her get there. Irrespective of this court sentence, and I don't mean that in any way disrespectfully, I think the positive changes that are already moving in her life are going to continue. So she knows she's not going to get away from this without any sanction. She knows based on her voiced preference, she will likely be doing a stay with the MDOC. I think, quite frankly, that she is making a well-informed personal choice here in that regard. And I appreciate the court's discretion as well. Thank you.
Mr. Harrison, before I turn over to Ms. Carey, I'm going to ask Ms. Rice, did you do any treatment since 2022?
No, the last time I did treatment was in 2022,
Okay,
and I wanted to talk to him about it, but I didn't know if they'd allow it because of the Misaki thing.
I'm just asking. So what happens is sometimes when we take an old PSI, an old report, and then add to it, if it's been 2 or 3 years, I want to know, did you do anything since then? And so they don't always update. They'll take that old one, attach to it, and then not tell us there's been any updates.
And I beg the court's indulgence, but I did forget to mention that the 5 days jail credit is accurate because
She was serving the other sentence.
she's been serving the other.
I got it. All right, Ms. Dahl. I'm sorry, Ms. Carey. Ms. Dahl's the one that's been here all morning. I'm sorry. I didn't look up again. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I think that Ms. Rise has earned a prison sentence. She has a very long criminal history. She has not historically done well on bond or on probation. Since her last treatment in 2022, in 2023, she got a possession of meth and a possession of analogs. She violated that probation at least on 3 occasions. And ended up having her probation revoked. She then got a retail fraud second, reduced from a retail fraud first. She then obtained this offense, and that's 23 of entries on her criminal history. So yes, I do believe that Ms. Rise has earned a prison sentence. I don't know what's changed in her thinking, if anything. As Mr. Harrison says, because she has been in jail this whole time, so it's good that she's had that time to think and reflect. However, it's not the first time she's been in this situation. So I am going to ask the court for a prison sentence. I would also note, Mr. Potter pointed out on page 1 of CFJ 145, we need to add the jail credit for 5 days instead of 0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, it doesn't.
All right, Ms. Rice, anything you wish to say to the court?
Yeah, just I'm tired of letting myself down and my family not being there. Like yesterday, my granddaughter went down to or Saturday, went to Saginaw to robotics and really messed me up that I couldn't be there. Now they got worlds and they're going to Houston, Texas next week, and I can't be part of any of that because it's drug abuse. And I'm said it before, but I'm fed up.
The defendant is 53 years of age and has had a long criminal history and a long history of substance use. On CFJ 145, page 1, there's a long list, and there's really nothing on there there's nothing out there that's not on it. Began using alcohol at the age of 17, marijuana at the age of 13. She's been a user of marijuana for 40 years, alcohol for 36, amphetamines for 12, cocaine for 25, 12 for methamphetamine, 21 for other opiates. And the list just goes on. 33 years of issues with oxycontin, methadone, benzodiazepines, and more. So it's broad. It's ups, downs, suppressants, everything. And the criminal history, I don't think I saw one case that there was a dismissal of the entire file. So she had 23 entries. And they range from Crimes of dishonesty such as retail fraud or bad checks. And violence, I've got some domestic violence. I also call it when people are using fake plates and driver license suspended crimes of dishonesty because they're blind to be able to drive a vehicle out onto the roadway. And that, so there were several of those types of offenses in here. Retail fraud is a big one. And then we start getting into the controlled substance cases in the last, especially the last 10 years. And appellate, I understand that according to the Supreme Court here in Michigan and the appellate court, we need to, as trial judges, establish the proportional and reasonableness factors for our sentences. And sometimes it takes a long time for me to cover them. Case, her history began in 1992 while she was on probation for one charge. She got picked up for another charge. Then she barely got off of that case's punishments and then picked up another charge, this one was a non-sufficient funds case. Now she barely didn't violate probation because for entry 4 of 23, that one occurred the day before she got picked up on the warrant for the previous one, which had occurred just a couple days before. The point is the close proximity of time. Number 5 of 23 also occurred in 24. It was 2004. It was another retail fraud related case. And I noticed this one in 6 of 23 and her probation violation. She was convicted on March 7th of 2005 for domestic violence. She was placed on probation and she violated probation the same day. That's got to be a whiplash. The conviction date and the discharge date and the offense date of the new charge are all within hours. All right, well, 7 of 23 occurred while on probation, 8 of 23 while on bond, 9 of 23 while on bond, 11 of 23 while on bond. And the list just keeps going. 15 of 23 on probation. Several of these cases, like in 2021, they're within just months apart. 18 and 19 of 23 are within months apart. She violated probation for that 19 of 23. That resulted in the case of 20 of 23. Again, more acts of domestic violence. 2023, she gets a case here in front of the court. The court gives her probation, a couple months of jail, but she violates probation at least 3 times, including all the way up from November of 2024, just 8 months before she picks up a retail fraud, 9 months before she violates that probation and picks up another meth case. And that's the one that we're here for today. So we've got repetitive bond violations, probation violations. We've got repetitive cases that are occurring back to back with short gaps of time in between. We've got a broad swath of them. As far as retail fraud, crimes of dishonesty, vehicle cases, meth cases, acts of violence. Anyone who says that drugs are a victimless crime has no idea what they're talking about, and you can come spend some Monday mornings here in this court. So a lot of the efforts have not worked. Now there's a band I really enjoy. I listen to. It's called Dispatch. Anyways, they got this one song that talks about, filling up our jails, prisons, but it's funny. Those songs never talk about, well, here are our opportunities. They don't give us opportunities. They don't talk about funneling money to small towns up in northern Michigan to help provide rehabilitation programs locally. They just say, hey, we shouldn't have people in prison or jail for crimes that may not be violent. That doesn't make any sense. So we have to have sometimes jail because, or prisons, because jail just doesn't work. Probation doesn't work. Bond conditions don't work. Somebody is a life of criminal entries. I don't know what else we're going to do. We had a case earlier today where I think we saw some hope for a person who was younger, but now I've got a person who here is, sounds like she's a grandmother and she's missing opportunities in life because of a life of crime, and getting out of it is so hard. Nothing locally seems to work. So once again, I'm stuck with a straddle cell on the guidelines, and the straddle cells, again, Lansing will potentially put strings on the amount of money they give us for whatever little programming we do get, based upon how many of the straddle sentences I send to prison. But I would love it if they would pull up all of our reports and take a look at them and understand the sentencing. So the court sentenced the defendant as follows: $68 state minimum fee, $130 crime victim right fund fee, no court cost, no attorney fee, no fine, and no supervision fees. The court takes a look here at this, and I'm glad that she's using Catholic Human Services while in the jail. Get her something that's more inpatient, and you can't get anything more inpatient than a prison sentence. So the court sentences the defendant to a period of prison from 18 to 120 months, and the court gives 5 days of credit. I do already acknowledge that she doesn't have any other credit, but she was already serving another sentence. She committed the crime for the guy with the sentence. So, but I'll tell you what, I was starting off in my head at 20 to 120, and I reduced it down to 18 to 120. All right, I really hope, Ms. Rise, that you take advantage of those opportunities that are there. If you are, I don't remember, is she eligible for boot camp? No. No, I really do hope that you'll take advantage of it. Mr. Harrison's providing you a copy, 2 copies of one document. You're gonna place your initials on one copy and take the other one with you. Place your initials on that copy. Neither elects nor waives in your rights. It merely acknowledges your receipt of the other copy. Now, this document tells you that you have the right to appeal the conviction and sentence in your case. That is typically done by filing a claim of right to appeal. However, based upon the plea in this case, any appeal must be done by filing an application for leave to appeal. If you choose to file an application for leave to appeal and you want the court to appoint an attorney to assist you, you may complete the bottom half of that copy of the document and return to the court within 42 days. If you choose not to appeal, you may simply dispose of your copy of the document. Hoping, Ms. Rice, this change of scenery will help you when you're thinking in the mornings, thinking about putting their feet down back on the floor and thinking about the kids, that you think about them so much that they are in your head every moment when you come out. You're 53. That's younger than me. I really want you to come out of here and be that person that I know you want to be, and that you're tired of being the other one. Ms. Rise, you're the only one that can do it. And you're the only one that can help the grandkids, the children, family members, by being the best grandparent you can be. All right, I really, really do hope for the best. Thank you. We're adjourned.
Yeah.
Our next file this morning is People of the State of Michigan versus Damian Epperson. File number is 17-118.